I'm going to start stripping down the doors on the Charade now to get them ready for paint. I've already got the door card removed, so I just tear off all this plastic. Just have to replace it later. I'll start a box with the bits and pieces that I'm taking off. I've just found this tab that stops the door from overextending. Now get some tools. I'm going to try the door lock mechanism first. I've never taken one of these apart before, but I'll see if I can leave plenty of it together. Should be nice. Make it easier to fit it all back in the end. I had hoped that the door latch would fit back through into the inside so I could keep the whole unit together, but it didn't fit back through. Screws like these are in really great condition on the car, which is now nearly 29 years old. Clip for the barrel lock. I was worried about breaking these little clips for those push rods, but they held together, which was great. They'd be very hard to replace. Can't really see a nice way to do this, so I think just squeeze it through with the grips on one stage without breaking. That's great. I didn't think I'd get away with that. Take the glass out next. I'll lower it there, and I think I'll take off the rubber trims first. Do the mirror as well. I was really winging it as I was taking these off. I'd never done this before on one of these. The rubbers are actually in great condition, but it would be a shame to strain them and put a kink in or anything. That one just pulled up and out of the rail. Then this kind of X-shaped window opening mechanism was brilliant, that it actually lined up opposite these holes, and all you had to do was take off these two little bolts and the glass came away from the mechanism. Nice design. I'm going to leave the mechanism in place because paint isn't going to do it any harm. I don't think there's any nice way of doing these. I may not put them back on anyway. I think I've taken the rub strips off every Cadet and Mark 1 or 2 Fiesta I've had over the years, and I have a feeling I won't be putting these back on Chewy. I'm quite happy for him to look his age rather than its most modern version. I was surprised to see that there weren't any metal studs or clips or anything attached to the door. So, although it'll be tough to get rid of all this adhesive, it will clean up really nice, and might not even have to do any filler on this bit. little bit less traumatic. I got all these old storage boxes from a factory that had to get rid of them, and they're going to be ideal for organising all my parts for different projects. So I've got a bit of a system going on, and you can see some of them in the background there. Labelling is going to be very important. Eventually I'll build some racks so that they can go onto them. Got to do much the same job as the front door on this driver's side rear door. I'll start again with the interior door handle. You might remember that I had a similar problem on the passenger side front door, that the little hand grab there must collect water from people's hands over time and actually rust the screws. Back to one of my favourite little tools, that piece of wire which I use for doing those little clips on window winders. These are held together the same way on the Cadet, the Talbot, and on Chewy here. A bit of brute force here now to remove the card from the clips. I should have actually removed that little door grab. It actually holds the card in place even when it's not screwed, so it was important to take it out. Nice and dry, no moisture damage on that. Gonna have to tear off all these plastic bits, as I mentioned earlier, but a simple sheet of plastic should bond in again. There were a lot of adhesive used in this car. They must have really been coming into fashion at the beginning of the 90s. Mechanisms are a little different on the rear door. The locking post is extended out to the front on the rears. Access in there is extremely tight because it's up over the wheel arch shape in the door. Luckily that little bar pulled off. It wasn't as tightly held as the one in the front. That's the mechanism out. And handily enough, they thought about this. That's the access to the exterior door handle. I noticed that they're the same front to back, and actually they have the same form on both ends, so they could actually work left to right, which would make it a lot easier if you were hunting a replacement. So different mechanism on the winder on this one. It's just asymmetric rather than the cross shape that was on the front door. Slightly more old-fashioned design, but ideal for this tight space. So this one wasn't actually bolted to the glass, you just had to loosen the arm and you could actually pull it at the end of the slider. Push the glass down out of the way. And was hoping that the rubbers would come off similar to the front, but because of the little quarter light here, it's a slightly different process, so I'm going to have to loosen that off. You can see there's a small bit of rust at the top of the door there. That was just, it must have been a bit of a moisture trap with the rubber seal on the body, and with all that moisture around there, I wasn't expecting this screw to work too easy either, so I'll use a grips there to loosen it. Still a good cross in it, so the screwdriver will do it the rest of the way. This, when we were using the car a number of years ago now, had slid down a bit and there was a leak at the top. So yeah, it's a nasty little job I did on it with some sealant, but at least it did that job and kept the interior bone dry on this car. Perhaps if that had been left, that door card wouldn't have been so nice. Hopefully I'll be able to fit it back in better than it was. I might be able to tidy up the top of that, hopefully. And you can see there was a little bit of distortion in all these from the sun over the 3 decades. Even in Ireland we do get some, you know. And this car has actually lived down here in the southwest its whole life. There's nothing actually holding those in, and it just pulls up. Keep the glass down. Really nice condition though. So I've started a box for the back door as well. I'll just keep it simple, a box each. Before getting into this job, that's one of the things I was worried about. Would I get all these bits of door mixed up? It's funny, having gotten into it now, it actually feels a bit simpler than I'd anticipated. It's a nicely designed car, I must say. Don't want any disasters like with the front windscreen coming out. And put that away safely. Remove the rear strip on this one. I'll keep them carefully in case it will affect the look of the car without them. Be handy enough just to bond them back on again. So my 2 doors are stripped down and I can start preparing them for some paint.